Good day, everyone. For today, our topic is about the toddler. So the group reporters will be Gotas Stephanie, Piquit Laika Marie, Taboco Sila Marie, and of course yours truly. So what is a toddler? A toddler is a child approximately 12 to 36 months old, though definitions vary. The toddler years are time of great cognitive, emotional, and social development. The word is derived from to toddle, which means to walk unsteadily like a child of this age.
So when we talk about growth, it is more on the number of things that we can measure, such as the circumference of the head, the chest, and the circumference of the abdomen, as well as the height and the weight of the neonate, and many more. So in this section, you will identify what type of development you want to improve for your baby. Okay, so let's identify the difference between the fine and motor development. Motor development means the physical growth and strengthening of a child's bones, muscles, and ability to move and touch his or her surroundings. A child's motor development falls into two categories: fine motor and gross motor. So for the fine motor skills, this refers to the small movements in the hands, wrist, fingers, feet, toes, lips, and tongue. So for the gross motor skills, it involves the motor development of muscles that enable the babies to hold up their heads, sit, and crawl, and eventually walk, run, jump, and skip. On the other hand, the fine motor skills are the development in which a child can complete important tasks such as writing, feeding oneself, buttoning, and zippering. So these abilities gradually develop through experience and exposure to a variety of toys, materials, and even food. So for number two, so when we talk about skills, these are the things that we do with our muscles, cognitive thinking, and things that we can do when we socialize. So as the babies grow, we identify the changes that they can do according to their age. So in this section, we are going to identify the developments of a toddler according to age. So for the fine motor development, the babies start to grasp objects using their hands, but not necessarily their thumb. It is in between 5 and 6 months old. So by 6 to 12 months old, the baby usually begin to play with handheld toys. And by 18 months, most toddler will try more complicated skills such as using a crayon or pencil or drinking from a cup independently. So they might even try to dress themselves. So by 24 months or 2 years old, your toddler might show a preference for one hand over the other. So from 2 years old, toddlers' fine motor skills become more sophisticated. So they may start to show an interest in scribbling, drawing, and attempting handwriting. So between 2 and 3 years old, they might be able to turn door, doorknobs and screw jar lids. So now let's proceed for the gross motor development. So gross motor skills development happens at these ages and stages, and they build upon each other. A baby needs to be able to pull up to standing before they can test their balance and walk. So by about 3 or 4 months, the baby can raise their head and chest when lying on their belly. By about 6 months, the baby can roll over both ways from stomach to back and back to stomach. At about 7 months, the baby can sit up without support. At about 8 or 9 months, the baby may start to crawl. And between 12 to 18 months, the babies can walk on their own and they are toddlers now. You can call them toddlers. At about 2 years, they can run, jump, and throw a ball. So at the age 3 years, they can walk on tiptoe, climb wall, and try to stand on one foot, gallop, jump, kick a ball, and try to skip. Between 3 and 4 years, they can pedal a tricycle, and when they reach about age of 5, they can leap, jump, skip, and run. So in short, we identified that the gross motor skills are about keeping the balance and changing position, which means we are using the big muscle of our body. On the other hand, for the fine motor skills, it is more on finger control.
Whether you have an outgoing or shy little one, socialization is an important part of your child's overall development. And since most children begin to walk around the 1 year mark, this is when you'll really start to see some big social milestone occur. These milestones are important because they prepare a child to manage personal feelings, understand others' feelings and needs, and interact in a respectful and acceptable way. Find out what to expect when it comes to your child's social development. At the age of 1, it begins with basic communication. A 1 year old will predominantly point and vocalize to express their intentions. Next, it recognizes with familiar people. When he or she sees grandma and grandpa, the babysitter, the pediatrician, and other familiar people, your toddler will begin to greet them with a smile. Next, they interact with you. If your child hands you toys, this shows his willingness and ability to engage with others. At the age of 2, it begins to socialize. Children typically engage in parallel play at this age. There isn't a lot of interaction with kids at this stage, but it's still important to give your child time with other kids. Next is they defend their territory. This is the age where kids start fighting over toys and declaring it's mine. Next is we have extend relationship to other people. Showing an interest in others is a key part of socialization, and kids will begin to seek out interactions beyond those with mom and dad. At the age of 3, your child might soon be starting preschool, where he'll have other peers to socialize with and a chance to forge a new friendship or few friendships. Right now, you'll notice that he is able to seek out others. Associative play begins at this age, so your child will start to look for other kids. Next is they use their imagination, dress up, pretend play, and other creative activities that will be part of play dates. Next is that they start to understand emotions. Your child still learns best from you, so point out different feelings. Example like happy, sad, scared when watching a TV or reading a book. At the age of 4, kindergarten is right around the corner, and your big girl and big boy will soon learn the ropes of socializing with new friends. At this age, he or she is able to show interest in being part of a group. Your child now enjoys playing with others and interacting with his or her peers more. Share and cooperate more with others. There will still be tug-of-wars over toys, but your child can understand the concept of sharing and waiting for his or her turn. Next is that they can be physically affectionate. By now, your little one is offering plenty more hugs and kisses to you and showing affection towards family and friends, especially when he or she sees them in distress. Last is that they exert more independence. Being confident and comfortable in her or his own abilities is an important part of successfully socializing, especially when they get older. It is important to remember that not every child is the same. Children reach milestones at different ages. Talk to your child's healthcare provider if you are suspicious that your child is not developing speech and language skills correctly. Birth to 5 months makes noise when talked to, vocalizes pleasure and displeasure sounds differently, so they know how to differentiate like laughs, giggles, cries, and some more sounds. 6 to 11 months understands no no or says ba ba ba, says mama or dada without any meaning. They also try to communicate by actions or gestures. They also tries to repeat your sound. So that's why it is very important to think before we speak. 18 to 23 months, they already know 50 vocabulary words. Pronunciation is often unclear, asks for common foods by name, makes animal sounds such as moo, begins to use pronouns such as mine. They also uses two-word phrases. 2 to 3 years, they already know how to use spatial concepts such as in or on. Know pronouns such as you, me, and her. They already know how to use descriptive words such as big or happy. They also use three-word sentences. Their speech is becoming more accurate but still may leave off ending sounds. Strangers may not be able to understand of what they have said, but they can answer simple questions. They also begin to use plurals such as shoes or socks and regular past tense verbs such as jump. 3 to 4 years. They already know how to group some objects such as foods or clothes. They already know how to identify color. They also uses consonant in the beginning, middle, and end of words. Some of the more difficult consonants may be distorted, but attempts to say them. Strangers are able to understand much of what is said, able to describe the use of objects such as fork or car, has fun with language, enjoys poems, and recognize language absurdities. They also express ideas and feelings rather than just talking about the world around him or her. They also use verbs that end with ing, such as walking or talking. They also know how to answer simple questions, such as what do you do when you are hungry? And also they repeat sentences. 4 to 5 years. They already know or understand the spatial concepts such as behind or next to. They also know how to understand some complex questions. The speech is understandable but makes mistakes pronouncing long, difficult, or complex words, such as hippopotamus. Uses some irregular past tense verbs such as run or fell. They also know how to describe to do things such as painting a picture. List items that belong in a category such as animal or vehicle, and they already know how to answer why questions. For example, why are you doing that? They already know how to answer it.
What are the specific plays according to age of a toddler? First is solitary play. This occurs at toddlers who are 2 years old or earlier. This is the stage when a child plays alone. They are not interested in playing with others quite yet. Children at this stage enjoy solitude or playing alone and not interacting with others. Next is spectator or onlooker behavior. This occurs at toddlers who are 2 years old. During this stage, a child begins to watch other children playing but does not play with them. During this stage, a child only enjoys spectating or watching others play but does not interact with them. Next is parallel play. This is for toddlers who are 2 years old and above. When a child plays alongside or near others but does not play with them, the stage is referred to as parallel play. During this stage, a child plays or does an activity alongside others but still not interested with interaction quite yet. Next is the associate play. This is for toddlers who are 3 to 4 years old. When a child starts to interact with others during play but there is not a large amount of interaction at this stage. A child might be doing an activity related to the kids around him but might not actually be interacting with another child. A child interacts with others but the interaction is still limited. Lastly, cooperative play. This is for toddlers who are 4 years old and above. When a child plays together with others and has interest in both the activity and other children involved in playing, they are participating in cooperative play. Cooperative play is when a toddler enjoys interacting with others and has an interest in both the activity and others. Next, what is timeout for toddlers? Timeout is when the child is removed from where the misbehavior happened. The child is away from all things that are fun.
She does not get any attention in timeout. She cannot interact with her parents or anyone else. Timeout is boring. Timeout works to change problem behaviors because children don't usually like to be bored. Timeout is not used for all misbehaviors. Some misbehaviors, like crying or whining, can be ignored. Distracting your child with a toy or a song can help prevent or stop misbehavior. Behaviors that cannot be ignored or redirected with distraction should be followed by a consequence that will stop the misbehavior. Delay or removal of privileges and timeout can be used to stop misbehavior. Timeout is done in order for parents to discipline their children and in order for their children to know that what they did is not right. This would let them know that next time they do this wrong act again, they will again be punished. Next, why is there temper tantrums in toddlers? Is it normal for toddlers to have temper tantrums? A tantrum is the expression of a young child's frustration with his or her limitations or anger about not being able to get his or her way. Perhaps the child is having trouble figuring something out or completing a task. Maybe the child doesn't have the words to express his or her feelings. Frustration may trigger an outburst, resulting in a temper tantrum. If the child is tired, hungry, feeling ill, or has to make a transition, his or her threshold for frustration is likely to be lower and the tantrum more likely. For the question, is it normal for toddlers to have temper tantrums? The answer is that tantrums are a normal part of a child development. They are how young children show that they are upset or frustrated. Tantrums are common during the second year of life, when language skills are starting to develop. Because toddlers can't yet say what they want, feel, or need, a frustrating experience may cause a tantrum. As language skills improve, tantrums tend to decrease.
Identify common injuries and how to prevent them. Common injuries in child care or at home. Skin. Abrasions, cuts, scalds, and burns. Bones and joints. Getting fingers caught indoors or drawers. Fractures, dislocation of elbows or shoulders. Impact. Bruises from knocks, hand injuries from falls, eye injuries. Foreign object. Swallowed objects, choking, accidental poisoning objects, lodged in the ears and nose. Prevention. Preventing skin injuries. Checking the skin at least daily for redness or sign of discoloration. Keeping the skin at the right moisture level, as damage is more likely to occur if skin is either too dry or too moist. Using moisturizing products to keep using supple and prevent dryness. Preventing bone and joint injuries. Consider balance training and physical therapy if your body feels off. Clutter removal. Keep your room pick up. Lights. Make sure your rooms all have good lighting. Rugs. Use skid-free mats under any rugs you need. Shoes. Wear shoes, not just socks when you're home. Preventing impact injuries. Wear the right gear, straighten muscles, increase flexibility, use the proper technique, take breaks, play safe, do not play through pain. Identify a theory or principle or growth and development applicable to the assigned age group and its outcome. Bowlby's attachment theory. There is a great deal of research on the social development of children. John Bowlby proposed one of the earliest theories of social development. Bowlby believed that early relationships with caregivers play a major role in child development and continue to influence social relationships throughout life. Bowlby's attachment theory suggested that children are born with an innate need to form attachments. Such attachments aid in survival and ensuring that the child receives all the protection. Not only that, but these attachments are characterized by clear behavioral and motivational patterns. In other words, both children and caregivers engage in behaviors designed To ensure proximity, children strive to stay close and connected to their caregivers, who in turn provide a safe haven and a secure base for exploration.
So that will be all. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you learned something from this topic.